Poem analysis. And our today's concern is the analysis of the poem Sunrise, the poem written by Professor Jwani Mwaikusa. The poem reads, "Behold, the sun has risen, and with it the sons of the land have risen too. Forward they go, well armed, singing praises to the beauty of the sunrise, with the determination of long-term warriors, challenging the enemy with the courage of a free mind and the vigor of a clean purpose. Sit and wait breathlessly. Wait and see what glory they bring at sunset, how they pay homage to their land and their people." Listeners, remember this is the poem kind of poetry. As I have told it before, it was written by the renowned Tanzanian poet, the late Professor Jwani Mwaikusa. Sunrise, in a literal sense, it simply refers to the time when the sun first appears in the sky in the morning. But as far as the context of this poem, we are going to find out the intentional meaning of the poet. Well, Jwani Mwaikusa was born in 1952 and died in 2010. And this poem was written to fulfill the function of literature. What is that function of literature? Literature liberates the society. So the poem is going to center on liberation of individuals who are suffering from oppression, specifically colonialism, or what is referred to as imperialism. The poem clearly depicts the subject of struggle for change. The society reflected in the society, the society reflected in this poem puts forward the subject of struggle for change. What kind of change, as far as in the society is concerned, is the change from the burden of colonialism and oppression. So the poet calls upon struggle for change from evils of colonialism. In other words, it is to say the poem represents some African societies that suffered from the burden of colonialism, and inevitably such an evil must be uprooted so as to pave the way for self-determination. The poem goes ahead to show that there are times when armed struggle is the only means possible to attain the victory over your enemy. That is to say, whenever a peaceful means of struggle fails, then armed struggle must be waged. But it also characterizes the importance of unity in such a struggle. Remember, there has been an old adage that unity is inevitable in any struggle. That is to say, united we stand, divided we fall. Moreover, the poet shows that in any fight there should be a clear purpose of what you really want to achieve at the end of the struggle. And this is a kind reminder by the poet that you must have a purpose behind fighting your enemy. This reminds us sometimes back when the first president of Tanganyika, J.K. Nyerere, had a purpose to fight against Idi Amin, the president of Uganda. The poem reminds us to have a purpose as far as we wish to struggle for change. You must have the purpose of eradicating or bringing down your enemy. Well, as far as the analysis of this poem is concerned, the critical analysis is going to be based on some guiding questions. First question: what is this poem about? The poem is about the sons of the land who have risen up, singing the beauty of the sun rays. But remember, this poem, the sons of the land have been used to symbolize Africans who were suffering from evils of colonialism. The sons of the land in this poem challenge the enemy, waiting for victory at sunset. In a literal meaning, sunset is the time when the sun goes down and night begins. But as far as this poem is concerned, sunset has been used to symbolize the end of the struggle. So the sons of the land wish to attain victory at the end of the struggle against evils of colonialism. This is to say, they have started up a struggle for redemption of their land and hope to bring victory at the end of the struggle. Evidently, the persona states, "Behold, the sun has risen, and with it the sons of the land have risen too, singing praises to the beauty of the sunrise." Question 2. For whom does the poem tell us that the sun has risen? Who are being told in the poem that the sun has risen? Well, the sun has risen for the sons of the land, which symbolically means the oppressed ones, the African oppressed ones, the peasants, workers, or the proletariat class, the class of producers. Question 3. What does the word sunrise symbolize? The word sunrise symbolizes the beginning of the struggle against the evil practices in the start or the period of rain. This signifies the beginning of a new day. Question 4. What type of poem is this? Well, remember, this poem is sonnet because it has 14 verses with 3 verses. And one of the most important features of sonnet poetry is presentation of a single theme, a theme that dominates the entire poem's content. A 14-verse poem is sonnet, and beyond any reason of doubt, this poem has 14 verses. That this qualifies the poem to be termed as sonnet with the free verse. Why is it regarded as a free verse poem? Verses do not rhyme in this poem, so it is free verse, so modern of its kind. Question 5. Comment on the mood and tone of the poem. Both the tone and mood are optimistic of its kind. The sons of the land have risen up, singing with hopes of bringing victory at the end of their struggle. Why optimistic? The sons of the land have hopes of attaining victory at the end of the struggle. And this is the motivation behind for them to continue fighting. They do not give up. They do not give in as far as their struggle is concerned. Well, another question. Comment on the structure of this poem. Okay, the general organization of this poem. The poem has one stanza with 14 verses. It is a modern poem of verse with no rhyming pattern. There is variation in the length of verses. Some are very short and some are very long. So this qualifies the poem to be regarded as free verse kind of poetry. Also, the poet has employed poetic license, whereby the poet violates some grammatical rules. In a line, forward they go, instead of saying they go forward. So the line forward they go is not a normal English structure of saving the SVA, subject to verb, adverbial structure. And this is done by poets with a purpose. What kind of purpose? It is to stress a particular idea in which they wish to communicate. As far as the structure is concerned, remember, when commenting on structure, we have to observe from the number of stanzas and number of verses that are found in each stanza. So the poem consists of one stanza and 14 verses. The next question. The poem contains two major images. Mention them. Well, two images are sunrise and sunset. Sunrise symbolizes the beginning of the struggle or the war of liberation or the time of rainfall. Sunset, on the other hand, symbolizes the end of the struggle or freedom time or the era of harvest. The era of harvesting, the sweat that came out during the struggle for the era of victory. Another question. The poet talks about challenging the enemy. Who do you think the enemy might be? Well, the enemy might be the colonialists who oppress, humiliate, and exploit the Africans in all aspects of life. That is to say, the enemy might be an imperialist as well, who dominates the Africans, and the Africans eventually find themselves suffering from the burden of colonialism. Another question. The verse with the determination of long-term warriors. What do you think these words long-term tell us about the poet's view of the struggle? Well, the words long-term mean in the distant future. The words imply that the struggle will take a long time. Truth beyond any reasonable doubt, struggle for freedom during colonialism was not a simple task, was not an overnight process. Africans toiled, and many of them lost their lives for the sake of freedom. And the struggle took a long time because the colonist himself was powerful. So as far as technology is concerned, Africans had traditional technology. Traditional weapons were used to fight against the colonialists, where the colonialists could use some military weapons that could kill many Africans at once. So the Africans spent a long time during struggle for change. Another question. There is one line that does not have normal word order. Which line is it and why is it so? Well, line 4 does not have normal word order. And the line states, forward they go. Its function is to stress the word forward. so as to encourage people to continue with the struggle. Another question: what is the theme of the poem? The theme of the poem is evils of colonialism or imperialism from the oppressive ruling class, and some other possible themes that emanate from the main theme include exploitation, oppression, humiliation of the lower class by the powerful class. Although, navigating through the poem, some other possible themes include awareness, sacrifice, classes, and independence, or self-foreign independence. Another question: what do we learn from this poem? So readers can learn a lot from this poem. Number one, struggle for freedom is not an overnight process. That is to say, it needs determination and sacrifice. So if people wish to liberate themselves, then they must sacrifice their lives. That is to say, you either kill the one or someone kills you. But what you wish to attain is freedom. Another lesson: unity is very important in any struggle. That's how we have found the sons of the land in this poem, stand together in unity and solidarity for the sake of fighting their enemy, who is the colonialist or an imperialist. Another lesson: hard work pays at the end. The sons of the land in this poem work so hard for them to liberate themselves from the colonial yoke, and eventually find them enjoying the fruits of their labor by celebrating their victory. So this is a kind reminder for every one of us that we must work hard in case we wish to attain something fruitful in our lives. Another lesson: when you struggle for something, you must have a clear purpose or a goal to achieve. You must have the purpose of your struggle, or what you wish to get at the end of the struggle. And that is the motivation behind the hard work, sacrifice, determination, and the like. Well, what are the possible themes in explanation? The theme number one is an armed struggle against imperialism or oppression. The poet shows that these people have been under the burden of colonialism, specifically oppression, but now they have started up a struggle against their enemy. They are hopeful that at the end of the struggle, the victory will be theirs, and they will bring glory, pay homage, or pay respect to the land and their people. That is to say, the sons of the land are patriotic. They opt for armed struggle because peaceful means of struggle proved a failure. To prove this, the persona said, wait and see what glory they bring at sunset, how they pay homage to the land and their people. Theme number two, unity. Remember, unity is the vital tool in any struggle. If people are united against their common enemy, the battle becomes lighter for them than fighting individually. In the poem, the sons of the land rise in unity and march forward with determination. Ultimately, they attain their purpose of victory simply because they are standing together, they stand in solidarity, they are not divided, and inevitably they attain freedom. Another thing, sacrifice. Any armed struggle needs both courage and sacrifice. because it implies that either you carry somebody or somebody carries you. The sons of the land seem to be well armed and march forward with determination, and they challenge the enemy without fear. That is courage. Just at the beginning of the struggle, they have hopes of winning the battle. Evidently, the persona states, forward they go, well armed, singing praises to the beauty of the sunrise, with the determination of long-term warriors, challenging the enemy with the courage of free mind. The aforequoted stanza is a proof for sacrifice as far as the sons of the land is concerned. Another theme is awareness. Remember, awareness is an important tool insofar as the liberation of the oppressed is concerned. If you don't know who your enemy is, how to fight against your enemy, and what your purpose is, please don't go for it. In the poem, the sons of the land are very aware of their enemy, who is an oppressor, the colonialist, and they are aware of the means to fight against the enemy. And the only means for them to succeed is the use of armed struggle. And they have a clean purpose. They have the reason to fight against the enemy, to prove the personal state, with the courage of free mind and the vigor of a clean purpose. Is this poem relevant to what is happening in the society of today? I think the appropriate answer here is yes. The poem may still be relevant to us today, although we are not under colonialism. There are people who fight for their civil rights today with unity. They include workers' union and the like. Awareness is still needed today for the liberation of the oppressed. That is to say, awareness is an essential tool as far as liberation is concerned. There are people who sacrifice their lives for the betterment of their societies. People who are ready to die for the sake of the majority welfare are there, as how it is seen in this poem. And the sons of the land sacrifice their lives for the sake of the majority welfare. Some of them are imprisoned as they fight against social evils in our societies. They never give up. Their cause to attain is liberation of the majority oppressed people. The contemporary society is suffering from the burden of neo-colonialism. Where African countries are politically free but economically dependent, their former colonial predecessors are still having some influences in African countries, and this has resulted into underdevelopment or vicious cycle of poverty. This marks the end of the presentation of the analysis of the poem Sunrise. Thank you for listening, and subscribe for you to get connected to the lessons posted here. Thank you.